You know, we do it thousands of times every single day without even thinking about it. Breathing. But have you ever stopped to actually wonder what happens on that incredible journey of a single breath? Well, today, let's trace the exact path of the air you're breathing in right now. Go ahead, do it with me. Take a big, deep breath in and let it out. Feels pretty simple, right? But that air you just pulled in traveled on a super complex, high-speed highway deep inside your body. So where did it go? And what was the point of the trip? Okay, so first things first. Before we go any further, we need to clear up a really common mix-up. We tend to use the words breathing and respiration like they're the same thing. But in biology, they're actually two very different, though, very connected processes. Think of it like this. Breathing is just the physical part, the in and the out, the inspiration and the expiration. It's basically the delivery service for oxygen. Respiration, on the other hand, is the reason for the delivery. It's the chemical reaction happening inside every single one of your cells that uses that oxygen to create energy. So one's the pump and the other's the power plant. So, if breathing is the delivery service, let's follow the delivery truck. We're going to trace the exact physical route that air takes from the outside world all the way to its final destination. It all kicks off in your nostrils, the main entrance. From there, the air travels down the pharynx, past your larynx, that's your voice box, and into the main pipeline, the trachea or windpipe. Now this pipe starts branching out, kind of like a tree, into smaller and smaller tubes called bronchi and then bronchioles, until finally it reaches its destination, millions of these tiny little air sacs called the alveoli. And here's what's so brilliant about this design. This whole pathway isn't just some hollow tube. Nope. It's a super advanced air conditioning system. This whole first section, the conducting zone, it filters out dust, it warms the air up to your body temperature, and it adds moisture, all to get it perfectly prepped for the delicate tissues deep inside your lungs. Okay, so we know the path the air takes, but what's the engine here? What's the force that's actually pulling the air in and then pushing it out? Almost like a giant set of bellows? The answer is actually pretty surprising. This is such a fantastic way to think about it. Your lungs themselves are totally passive. They don't have any muscles to expand on their own. They're basically like a bird trapped inside the cage of your chest. And if you want that bird to fly or the lungs to expand, you have to make the cage bigger first. So how do we make that cage bigger? Well, to breathe in, your huge diaphragm muscle at the bottom of your chest contracts and pulls down flat. At the same time, the muscles in your ribs pull your whole rib cage up and out. This makes the cage, your chest, bigger. And here's the crucial part. A bigger volume means lower pressure inside. And since nature can't stand a vacuum, air from the higher pressure outside world just rushes in to fill up that space. And what about breathing out? Well, usually it's totally passive. Those muscles just relax. The diaphragm domes back up, the rib cage settles down, and the chest cavity gets smaller. This gives the lungs a gentle squeeze, which increases the pressure inside and pushes all that air right back out. It's just a beautifully simple and efficient system. All right, we've arrived. After traveling down that whole pathway, pulled in by the body's bellows, the air has finally reached its destination. This is it. This is the climax of the entire journey. This is where the real work gets done. Just look at that number. Less than 1 millimeter. That is the combined thickness of the 3 layers that a molecule of oxygen has to cross to get from those little air sacs into your bloodstream. It's an unbelievably thin barrier, and it absolutely has to be. The best way to picture it is to think of the millions of alveoli as one massive, busy loading dock. And get this for a fun fact. If you could spread all of them out flat, they would cover an entire tennis court. It's on this gigantic surface that your red blood cells pull up, load on fresh oxygen for delivery, and unload their waste product, carbon dioxide, which you then breathe out. And this whole complex exchange, it just follows 3 very simple rules of physics. 1, gases always move from an area of high pressure to low pressure. 2, the barrier they have to cross must be incredibly thin, which we just saw. And 3, the gas has to be able to dissolve to make that passage. That's it. So the oxygen has made the jump. It's officially in the bloodstream. Mission accomplished, right? Well, not quite. How does it get from the lungs in your chest to, let's say, a muscle in your big toe? It needs a ride. And that ride is called hemoglobin. This incredible protein in your red blood cells is basically a dedicated taxi service. You can think of each hemoglobin molecule as a little 4-seater car that picks up 4 oxygen passengers at the loading dock of the lungs and then chauffeurs them through your bloodstream, dropping them off wherever they're needed. And just look at how critical this taxi service really is. A staggering 97% of all the oxygen in your blood is carried by hemoglobin. Only a tiny 3% is just dissolved directly in the blood plasma. I mean, without hemoglobin, our system just flat out would not work. But here's a fun twist. The story is completely different for the waste product carbon dioxide. See, CO2 is way, way more soluble in blood than oxygen is. And because of that property, a much bigger chunk of CO2 can just travel dissolved in the plasma on its way back to the lungs for disposal. So there you have it. From your nose all the way to your blood, it's a journey of mechanics, pressure changes, and pure chemistry. And it's all happening automatically, about 12 to 16 times every single minute of your life, without you even having to think about it. It just kind of leaves you with one final question, doesn't it? Who or what is the unseen conductor orchestrating this incredible, life-sustaining symphony?